The one time I support Manchester United and they do this. I mean, fine. How about your way then? Quick disclaimer, this is kind of like a review of the entire United season, so there's going to be some older footage that is going to be shown just because there really was no need to rewrite that stuff if it was already good. I mean, I thought it was good at least. But don't worry, there's still a very good amount of new content from pretty much February all the way to now. So let's get into it. Man United decided to give Erik ten Hag a new contract despite them finishing in a worse league position than 22-23. So going into the 2024 summer transfer window, the Erik ten Hag project continued to expand. He brought in defenders Noussair Mazraoui and Matthijs de Ligt from Bayern Munich, two players that had previously been at Ajax. He also got a high-profile talent in defender Lenny Yoro. Manuel Ugarte was added to bolster the midfield from PSG, and finally, after literally just buying Rasmus Højlund last year, United bought forward Joshua Zirkzee from Bologna. In total, the club spent 214.5 million euros, the third most expenses of any other club during this window. However, just like every other Man United season it seems like, it starts pretty underwhelming with a 1-0 win versus Fulham. But hey, welcome to Manchester, Joshua Zirkzee. The Red Devils then proceeded to the credit card no one in London fucking accepts, and they concede a last-minute winner to Brighton because no one thought to cover João Pedro. The next week was Liverpool, and I mean, come on. Nonetheless, United then managed a 3-0 win versus Southampton after the international break, but that was the last bit of joy they'd experienced for a while, as the team would go on to win just one of its next 7 fixtures. And after a loss to West Ham, Manchester United cut ties with Erik ten Hag just 3 months after giving him a new contract. And in his place came former legend and now assistant manager Ruud van Nistelrooy. Van Nistelrooy was actually one of the guys United was lining up for the main job back in the summer before they decided to keep Ten Haram. So now was his chance to show that United made a grave error in judgment, like they always do. And he did just that, going unbeaten in his first 4 games in charge. Sure, 2 were versus Leicester City at home, another was at home versus PAOK, but there was also the promising 1-1 draw versus Chelsea. Either way, this was promising stuff, and it only made sense to give Van Nistelrooy the rest of the season and then evaluate what to do going forward. But this is United we're talking about here. Patience, long-term outlook, cringe. Let's just spend 10 million to buy out a manager's contract midway through the season. And boom, 1-1 draw with Ipswich Town. I mean, what the fuck else is this place known for besides giving us retail music? Actually, let me look this up. Ipswich is home to many artists and has a number of galleries, the most prominent of which are the Christchurch Mansion, the Town Hall Ancient House, and the Artist Gallery, and okay, whatever, I've read enough. This shit hasn't gotten any better, by the way. Manchester United has lost 4 of its last 6 games, including a recent 2-0 defeat to Wolves. 18th place Wolves. As a result, United went from 14th after sacking Ten Hag to 14th. 8 points above safety. Just 4 days after losing to 18th place Wolves, Man United conceded 2 goals against Newcastle in just 22 minutes. It honestly could have been more though, but what I find the funniest about this match, about 3/4 of the highlight reel is United getting ripped to shreds in the first half alone. Which all makes sense because United's attack was so bad that Amorim took Joshua Zirkzee off in the 32nd minute and he was showered with a rain of boos from the whole stadium. Man United spent 42.5 million euros on this guy, by the way. Well, time to defund the Disabled People's Fund and also raise ticket price. United's next game was against Liverpool. Worst of all, it was at Anfield, a place that Man United had not won at since 2015. I mean, Amad Diallo wasn't even born yet. The majority of the planet believed that United was about to be slaughtered, and they also joked that taking a forfeit would only be a 3-0 loss. But to the surprise of everyone, we wouldn't see a goal until the 52nd minute, and more importantly, it was through Argentinian Timmy Turner. However, it took only about 6 minutes for United's shambolic defense to be exposed, and then they conceded a penalty 10 minutes later. Alright guys, fun's over. Not so fast, says United's only competent goal scorer Amad Diallo as he equalizes with 10 minutes to go. And here comes Manchester United once more at the death. Joshua Zirkzee gets in behind, he squares it in the middle, and all is redeemed.
And it's Harry Maguire! And he should have won it for Manchester United.
Gotta give him credit, at least. Already has better positioning than Højlund. Looks like the dots are starting to connect though. In the following week, United triumph over the XG merchants on penalties in the Carabao Cup. And then they followed that up with a 3-1 victory versus the season is already over, things have gone way too Southampton. However, their father, Brighton, came to town 3 days later and beat the Red Devils senselessly, which then prompted Amorim to do the same thing but with the dressing room TV. And while that passion helped United secure 3 straight wins, 2 of them were in the Europa League, and outside of a sole victory versus Fulham, United were still struggling heavily in the league. After losing at home to Crystal Palace, that was Amorim and United's 7th loss in 13 games. Just to make things worse though, Lisandro Martinez picked up another serious injury, and he won't be back until 2026. And then, during a training session the following week,
you've got mail.
Yeah, the season's wraps. Nothing can save it now. We've already talked about Manchester United's attack. Yeah, that was all they had. A young prospect with 6 goals and 6 assists. Their only goal threat. Gone. Reduced to atoms. I mean, sure, there's Bruno with 5 goals, but 3 of them are penalties. And you want to know who's behind those 2? Marcus Rashford. Yes, the guy United just sent out on loan still has more goals than Garnacho, Xerxes, and Højlund. Future me, can you please display how much Xerxes and Højlund costed total? 116.4 million. Sorry, Rupert. I know that janitor job literally feeds your kids, but anyways, United conceded early on to a team of hospital patients, and with no one besides the Twin Towers and someone who looks like they still bite pencils, the United attack produced nothing of note. So up to date, Manchester United are now 15th. Yes, that's right, they are worse than before. Their next opponents were Everton, and even though they were a point below the Toffees, I'll be honest, United shouldn't even be considered in that same realm. Because in just half an hour, United conceded twice against a team that had scored 1 less goal than them all season. Luckily though, the Red Devils were able to rally back late in the second half to save themselves from disaster, only to then risk another just 3 minutes into a game versus 19th placed Ipswich. However, United quickly responded with 2 unanswered in a matter of 4 minutes to retake the lead. But then, 2 defenders decided to do an impression of the non-existent communication United's board has with its staff below them, and the backline hands a gift to Ipswich again. Fortunately, again, the Red Devils were able to retake the lead almost instantly into the second half, and they get their first league win in a month. In the next round of the FA Cup, United conceded early to Fulham. However, to the rescue came Super Bruno Fernandes once more for United's equalizer. From there, the Red Devils took it to pens again, but this time it would end with Joshua Xerxes going from hero to 0 at the spot. With their elimination from the FA Cup, United were now officially out of every domestic cup competition. And seeing how there was a better chance the Bills beat the Chiefs in a game that actually matters than, say, United winning the league, all that was pretty much left was the Europa League. And that resumed in early March with Manchester United going up against Real Sociedad in the last 16. A tough opponent this early into the knockouts, but Joshua Xerxes had other things to say, as his ongoing redemption arc tour puts United up 1 in the 57th minute. But 13 minutes later, the team gives away a penalty, it's converted, and later on, Manchester United were very lucky this somehow wasn't put on target. However, in the end, United once again escape and could be satisfied with the result knowing that the second leg was in Old Trafford. But this is no ordinary club. This is Manchester United we're talking about here. They concede a penalty and go 2-1 down on aggregate in the first 10 minutes. Nonetheless, just like the game versus Ipswich, just like my ass scrambling to put this video together starting from scratch at 6 p.m, United find a way through a clear penalty, and a sell Dolph Ziggler would be very proud of. Just like that, United turn it around and then add 2 more for good measure to confirm a spot in the quarters. Next for Amorim's army was Lyon, and once more United show less communication skills than high school freshman me and concede in the first 25 minutes. Nonetheless, Manchester United have seen this story before. Lenny Yoro equalizes right before halftime, then in the 87th minute, the Joshua Xerxes redemption arc eats up another victim, and Manchester United once again overcome. Alright, listen, 2-2 isn't the end of the world, and besides, the second leg is at Old Trafford, and United this time actually capitalize on it and give their fans a dream start going up 4-2 on aggregate before the break to seal the deal and advance further to their ultimate goal.
It's the head of Casemiro that meets it. Icarte back in there, and there's the goal. Good ball indeed. And Tagliafico's there, and the ball's in away. He's open for Lyon. Will it run for Sheki? Advances played. Advantage taken. This is the time. And Lacazette makes no mistake.
Just when you thought the clown show was over, Manchester United bottle the lead in spectacular fashion and then throw it all away in extra time, conceding 2 times. This is all at home, by the way. I mean, this shit couldn't get any funnier. By the gods. A miracle for our Red Devils in Manchester. 2 goals down with 16 minutes left? Not a problem, Manchester United faithful. In fact, victory is now certain because this little shit doesn't know when to shut the fuck up. After at one point losing 6-4, considered down and out, Manchester United, as they have throughout the tournament, find a way and advance with an emphatic 7-6 win on aggregate. Now into the semis, all that was left standing in United's path between them and the final was Athletic Bilbao. Another very tough opponent, but at this point, Amorim's men had grown tired of this shit, so they locked in and walloped the Basque club 7-1 on aggregate over 2 legs. But hey, before we go any further and talk about the final, let's quickly look at how Manchester United are doing in the league so far. Since April, the club has gone winless with 2 draws and 6 losses, which now sees them at an even worse spot of 16th in the league. That said, their opponents in the Europa League final would be Tottenham Hotspur, who are 17th in the league right now. Keep in mind, by the way, the winner of this final gets a berth into the Champions League next season. What god did we anger as a society to be subjected to this? Remember Amad Diallo's season-ending injury? Well, somehow he recovered in quote record time and was back in action. This was a massive boost for United, as Amad was just one of 2 players with 10 plus goals and assists this season, and the Ivorian nearly gave Manchester United the lead just 16 minutes into the final. From there, the Red Devils continued to dominate and create some more decent chances. But we mustn't forget, no matter how much possession United has, it does not take away from the fact that their backline has a severe case of scoliosis. But as we've seen time and time again, Manchester United will always find a way. Into the second half, Bruno Fernandes sends a delivery into the box to no avail, but United are getting the right idea. 67 minutes played, another set-piece delivery, the goalkeeper fumbles it, and it's Højlund who heads it towards an open goal. After all the criticism and hate he's gotten, he's about to shut every single one of them up. Keep it, Højlund! Oh, just minutes later, man scared of Rainbow Jacket sends lovely delivery to a wide-open Bruno, but he can't get his header on target. Nonetheless, 73 minutes played, man pocketed by an Indonesian league player cuts inside into loads of space, and I know in these videos I have to show at least a half-assed effort of this being in the team's perspective, but holy shit, it makes me so happy this guy is still ass. From this moment on though, instead of inching closer to getting that equalizer with the momentum they had, Manchester United's attack just kind of fizzled out. And with their opponents progressively adding more and more defenders into the box, yeah, they were just running out of ideas at that point. And when this happens, you know what that means. Endless and hopeless crosses into the box, baby. Now, all the while this was going on, I was actually at a watch party where the majority of supporters were United fans, and they were losing their shit. Wanker! 6 minute stoppage time now. Nothing has worked, but United still fight on. Dallo whips the ball in, and it's Luke Shaw on it, but it's saved. Manchester United basically tanked the Premier League to focus on qualifying for the Champions League through the Europa League, and not only did they fail miserably, they lost with 74% possession. But it gets better because their opponents had 1 shot on target the whole game. 16th in the league, still hasn't reached 40 points with 1 game remaining, and now no Champions League. You know, at least when the Utah Jazz did this shit, they had the excuse of the fact that picking up Cooper Flag was pretty much out of their hands at that point. This though, it was entirely in your control. You decided to pull this shit and couldn't even execute at the end. This may be the funniest club in the world, man, I can't even lie. Oh, but it's alright though. Sir Jim Ratcliffe just has to fire even more underpaid workers. Then Manchester United can get back to the top. Alright, but for real, like, what now for Manchester United? Because honest to God, I have no clue at this point. I feel like they're just gonna forever be in this cycle. Sure, maybe Amorim improves into the next season and he'll be able to buy more players that fit in his system, but I'll be honest, he's probably gonna fizzle out like everyone else after 2 years in charge. And I don't even think at this point that you could make an argument that this is on the players and the manager anymore. I mean, it has become pretty much written into Newton's law that when a United player leaves, they immediately look better. And it's also been documented way too many times that the culture within the club, not just the dressing room, is incredibly toxic. And when you keep seeing reports of people who work at the club constantly fearing if they will still have a job or not, I just don't see how United are going to get out of this cycle at all. I mean, to really put into perspective, Sir Jim Ratcliffe sees worker benefits as basically communism, so, you know, I'm sorry, United fans, I'm trying to think of something here. And all of this, though, is contributing to the fact that this club is becoming less and less of an attractive destination than Belarus, probably. So with that, you're seeing United paying even more premiums for the most mid-talent imaginable. So what now if we're still stuck in that cycle and it doesn't look like it's gonna get any better there? Youth development? I mean, I guess, but then you kind of run into the problem that the players have to, you know, play for the club, and I feel like even that kind of hurts their development, so... I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Amorim is the second coming of Christ. I don't know. But outside of all the hate watch vids where I at least give a preview of what could be promising in the future, there is literally nothing I can think of here. But what do you guys think? Will Manchester United improve into next season? Will we see a better team? Will we see a better culture, I suppose? Or will we just go into the same cycle? And will we maybe one day see them relegate? I mean, we were pretty close this season. Let me know. Of course, though, a massive shout out to all our members, including Janos Balas, Lugar BB, Aresan, Brazilian Fury, Jeremiah Usu Ajimang, Valera, Django, Anazir Makalankam, Alex Rod, Slider Kid, Taco Fans, Yantra Agatra, Saint Terrence, Sylvia Citrus, Rashford Enthusiast, Cheesebait, Winter Gel, Finn Likes Rugby More, Davox, The Portergeyser, Polo Protos, Van Fen, Lucian Von Kreuz, Gazekers Bishakivix, A Ghostly Owl, Coney Wolves, Lickstab, Mutanai, Sketchy Card, Apollo, Congo Jazz 1, German Sayu 7, Thrilling ADT 13, Los Milos, La James Braun, Vasinho, Jamie Vardy's 10th Red Bull, Nightwalker, Napside, Money Cash Hose, Quantavious Pork, Lilia Lover, Stewed Monk, Tyler A. Davis, A Red Devil for Life. I'm not reading that one. I'm not you know who you are, you're changing that. Kev C, Dominic Griffin, Kyler Krebs, Mohammed Al-Tanib, Nish, Patrick Barley, Rashford God 5, and Unbroken Persona. If you'd like to become a member on the channel, there'll be a link down below and up in the annotations. You can follow me on Twitter if you want, follow my Instagram if you like, follow me on Twitch. I've been doing a lot of streams as of late. I feel like I'll be doing some more into the summer because I'll be less busy, but until then, I'll see you guys. I was supposed to work on the Arsenal video today, so, you know, blame Manchester United, don't blame me.